Welcome to OWAD today. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe for Chinese. Let's continue looking at this yin character paired today with shui, water sign. Okay, this yin, I introduced two meanings yesterday, and I subscribe to one of the two meanings, which is a person. This is a person, two leg, carrying with something heavy on the shoulders. And this load carrying imagery can be paired with a bunch of things. Yesterday we talked about wood, and that's carrying your head made of wood. So headset made of wood. That's our pillow word. Now this shěn, you can see the pronunciation is kind of related but different. It's instead of a zhen, now is shěn, and shěn originally means juice. Never knew that actually, because the meaning as juice was no longer used in contemporary Chinese, only by checking a dictionary, like, what's the original meaning of this? Because I only know the shěn in a sitting name, Shenyang, and also as a last name. That's how it exists. So basically, a place name, a person's name that has shěn in it. Otherwise, I have no clue what exactly shěn used to mean. Now, this second meaning, the first one is a person walking far away, like jun, if we regard this structure horizontally with two edges. It's like the end of the world. That person walking far away land, one explanation. And the second explanation is this person carrying a heavy load. And this load carrying is, I find, is more explainable. Why carrying heavy load plus water symbol become juice? Simply because juice got solid particles from fruits, supposedly. That's going to be heavier, and you're going to see the pulp is going to eventually separate from the liquid, and the solid are going to be separated, right? Because they have different weight. And this heavy load carrying water is the definition of a juice, which I find very convincing. But if you look at traditional Chinese, it doesn't have that anymore. Traditional Chinese experienced something that scholars call it complication. Well, not in a medical term, but linguistically, it's intentional to make it looking more complicated, so that it's almost like a flesh out a definition. So it's almost like Chinese, if we look at this, is actually simplified. One of the rare occasions that simplified Chinese reflect a 2,000 years ago's dictionary, the seal script version, better than the traditional Chinese. That traditional Chinese, probably because this was too simple, wanted to add some more visual elements to make it more elaborate and complicated, so that there was no, I guess, lower risk of overlapping with some similar looking things. So what traditional Chinese use on the right side actually is examine. We talked about this character before. It's the pulse that you detect, the beast paw print discovered in a farm field. And I guess under the roof is simply the place where you examine that. Is our, I guess, investigation or examine character. And examine paired with water somehow becomes juice. Doesn't make sense to me. So I'm going to ignore traditional Chinese because it's not as explainable as the simplified and 2,000 years ago's version. So here are a few examples. We don't have that many examples, because shěn, we don't use this character in many meaning creation process as a juice. Today, we simply use 果汁, 果 fruit, 汁 We talked about zhe actually this year. Also water symbol plus number 10. And that's our juice symbol in today's. It's simpler, right? Just number 10. It's kind of a heavier or loaded water. That's our definition of juice. Versus here, a human carrying heavy load. That's also explainable, but it's kind of lengthy, worthy, verbose, and harder to write compared with just a cross symbol. That's number 10. So a field, Shenyang as a current use is commonly what Shen lives. Shen Kuo as a historical figure, we only saw that in history books. So it's not commonly used. Shenyang probably is the only most popular use of Shen, this character, in our living language. Now, 不叫取神, that came from, it's from an ancient kind of DIY menu to tell you how to make things at home on your own. So it's kind of a ancient YouTube without a video version, but to give you a kind of step-by-step how to do things, self-help menu. And I simply use 4 characters to describe this process of using fabric. 绞 means, how do you say this motion? It's tightening the fabric, kind of twisting the fabric in a way that the water from the juice is going to seep out of the fabric versus the fibers are going to stay in the within the fabric. So all you get is, I guess that's like before the invention of blender, serves as that function. We use fabric to serve as this filter function, but 绞 also this twisting add pressure to that so that you can separate the juice from the fiber. 取 means take or retrieve. It actually came from this ancient 3-finger hand symbol, take somebody's ear. That was an ancient battlefield practice that you're going to cut off the ear of your enemy. So it serves as a head count of 1 down of your enemy, and you probably got rewarded accordingly. So ear cutting was a thing back then. So eventually we use this ear cutting transfer to other kind of getting. So instead of getting somebody's ears, we getting something else. And here we're getting the juice. So we use fabric to twist it as a filter to get the juice. That's a 不绞取神. Never used that in my lifetime, only because I dig into old books to find examples of how to use shen in our language. And as I said, this meaning definition of juice for shen was replaced by zhi, so nobody used this in our language anymore. And who used fabric to create a juice anymore? I did once, actually. I was making soy milk, learned steps on YouTube, use fabric, and quite an effort to get that soy milk out of the beans. So soybeans is tough. So that's not something going to stay. So I can understand contemporary living. We simply don't have that practice anymore. That's not how we get juice. Shen yang. Okay, shen in this case was also ancient use of a place name of the river. We can see that this water symbol normally we plus, I guess, a sound name to it or some kind of a descriptor of the type of water. I guess this water probably feels heavier, muddier, therefore it's shen, and it's in the northeast part of China. And Shenyang means on the yang side of the river. Which side is the yang side? It turns out the north side of the river is this yang side of the river. The reason why is because river, when it's flowing, considering China is in northern hemisphere, the sun is going to slanting toward the north onto the river. If there's mountains to both sides of the river, kind of like a valley with the river flowing through situation, then the south side of the river is going to stay in the shade because of the mountain block the sun. The north side of the river is more likely to be 烧能, so to be warmer. So the northern side of the river in Chinese is regarded as the yang side of the river. So 沈阳 simply is talking about the north side of the Shen River. And that, this big city name, probably I'm not sure if it's the biggest city, but it's one of the major cities in northeast China. Lots of comedians came from that area. It's a cold place, and people get funnier when it's cold. At least that's probably regional truth in China. Okay, Shenyang. And Shen Kuo was this historical figure. It's a Song dynasty. He was named as Aristotle of China because he was like a knows-all man and kind of compiled work to tell people astrology, physics, math, all kinds of like STEM in today's like engineering, science, all subjects. And this person has a curious mind and I guess benevolent as well to collect everything he knows about nature, how physical world works, put that together and put it into 梦溪笔谈, dream stream. Wow. Dream stream. 笔谈 penned, 谈 talk. Like I pen it down as if it comes from the stream of my dream. Wow. Okay, now translated, I realize how poetic that is. I never get to read it. I'm probably going to because this sounds amazing. And this 11th century author was the first person who came up with the term of petroleum in Chinese. It turned out that this relatively contemporary energy source, petroleum, Chinese 11th century, already he knew about it and translated as 石油. Not translation, actually, he defined what that material is in Chinese as the stone oil. Oil coming from the stone. And he even predicted one day humans are going to be able to master this particular stone oil to use that as energy source. It's like a millennium ahead of his time. All right, so 沈, including 沈括 and 沈阳, but originally means juice. Thank you for your time. See you another day.